All right, let's continue today. I'm not even going to waste time telling you how important it is to become a member at joinpacman.com because we just have too much going on, and it wouldn't be respectful to people to derail the show with such irrelevant, innocuous announcements. So we won't do that. A little more vaccine discussion. This is also just a very interesting exchange, and I don't exactly know the full way I would describe it, but over the last 24 to 36 hours, there's just been a little bit of a different dynamic about the tone of how a lot of this vaccination problem that the United States has is being discussed. I think most of it is pretty productive. Here's an example that is not very productive. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki yesterday held a press briefing. And during this press briefing, she was initially asked by Fox reporter Peter Doocy. And then another reporter sort of followed up about it. And the gist of the question was, shouldn't Joe Biden go and ask Donald Trump for help so that Trump will come out and tell his followers that they should go and get vaccinated? And of course, if you watched yesterday's program, you might be thinking, wait, Trump just basically put out an anti-vaccine statement. Now you want Trump to go and ask people to get vaccinated. And the truth is, Trump may actually do it because everything Trump is doing is merely to hurt Joe Biden. And if the imagery suited Trump of Biden going to him and saying, Mr. Former President, I need your help. I need you to put out a statement so that your followers will get vaccinated. Trump would probably do it. He would drop the anti-vax stuff right away, as long as he gets credit for it. So let's jump into this. Here's Peter Doocy asking Jen Psaki, maybe Joe Biden should be reaching out to Donald Trump. Let's take a listen.
On vaccine hesitancy, as COVID-19
And by the way, no one can silence their phones in this room. You've got to be kidding me.
cases rise, if this is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated and you guys are having a hard time getting a certain part of the population to go get the shot.
Right. Now, what he doesn't say is part of the reason you're having trouble is because of Trump and other Republicans telling people this administration's not trustworthy. That's part of why you're having trouble. He doesn't mention you're sort of having trouble because of Trump.
President Biden ever call former President Trump and say, I need your help, let's cut a PSA and tell people to go do it?
Trump would love that, wouldn't he?
Well, first, I would say that what we've seen in our data is that the most trusted voices are local officials, doctors, medical experts, civic leaders, clergy from time to time.
This is really important because when you ask people, who do you trust the most on these types of things, people aren't saying any elected official. Now, there are some hardcore Trumpists who are just listening to Trump. So that's absolutely a fact.
And that is where we've really invested our funding and our resources. We've seen almost every former president play a role in putting out a PSA, making sure people understood in the country that the vaccine is safe and effective. We don't believe that requires an embroidered invitation to be a part of. But certainly any role of anyone who has a platform where they can provide information to the public that the vaccine is safe, it is effective. We don't see this as a political issue. We'd certainly welcome that engagement.
Right. Now, the thing is, because of Trump's narcissism, he has to be invited. That's the thing. Trump wants Biden to come begging. And of course, Donald Trump is the one reinforcing the talking point that people aren't getting vaccinated because they don't trust the Biden administration. We looked at that statement yesterday, and I'll put part of it up on the screen. Trump said, Joe Biden kept talking about how good of a job he's doing on the distribution of the vaccine that was developed by Operation Warp Speed, or quite simply, the Trump administration. He's not doing well at all. He's way behind schedule, a far more aggressive schedule than Trump ever put together. And people are refusing to take the vaccine because they don't trust his administration. So first of all, Trump's reinforcing the talking point that is preventing some people from going and getting vaccinated and saying, you really can't trust Biden. It's socialist, it's communist, and people don't trust the administration. Second, again, Biden doesn't have to ask Trump. Obama, Bush, and Clinton did it on their own. Why does Donald Trump have to be asked by Joe Biden to do this? And the answer is because he's a narcissist. And now he's holding this over Joe Biden's head, or attempting to, and working against Joe Biden up until such time until Joe Biden comes and says, pretty please, sir, will you go and do a video? And the most remarkable thing about this is Trump doesn't care about his followers. Understand that. If it's useful for Trump politically as he perceives it to encourage people not to get the vaccine, he'll do the sort of anti-vax, you can't really trust this administration talking points. If it makes Trump look good to have Biden come groveling to him, please do a video so your people will get vaccinated, then Trump will do it. One outcome leads to death, one outcome leads to vaccination and mostly not death. Trump doesn't care. He's indifferent between the two. It's whatever makes him look politically the strongest. That's all the guy cares about. Now, here was where it got a little weird. The next reporter also followed up. Why isn't the Biden administration doing enough here when it comes to giving Trump credit for the vaccines?
Thanks, Jen. I have a follow-up to Peter's question about Trump, and I have my own vaccine question. In my follow-up, even if the administration doesn't partner with the former president, would it consider highlighting or acknowledging in a greater way his role in creating the vaccines to assure the rural voters who still support President Trump but are hesitant to get the vaccine?
Well, I think do you have data to suggest that that's the issue that's preventing people from getting vaccinated?
So that's a great question. On the one hand, I've said before, maybe you got to call this thing Trump juice and market it like a popular soda to these people. Maybe that'll make them get vaccinated. On the other hand, do we have reason to believe that they're waiting for Trump to say something? Because increasingly it seems they want to hear from local doctors and their local clergy for those that are religious.
Well, we're seeing that the communities that have the lowest vaccination rates did seem to vote for President Trump.
Okay, but what I'm asking you is if information related to whether or not the former president got credit is leading people not to get vaccinated.
Right.
Or is it information like microchips in vaccines and it causing fertility issues, causing health issues? Because you're drawing a few conclusions there that I haven't seen in data, but maybe you have that information to provide.
No, but I think it's an issue. I mean, I think it's a common sense that these are people who've supported him. These are people who are hesitant to get vaccinated. I don't think it takes a lot to draw the conclusion.
Well, let me be very clear. Our objective is to ensure all Americans will get vaccinated. That would be, of course, we'd love that. Democrats, Republicans, independents. It's not a political issue to us. The virus does not look at people's party affiliation. We recognize that. The president's going to govern for all people. What I'm conveying to you is you're jumping to a few conclusions that I don't think data backs up in terms of what the impacts are.
I think that they both are making good points here in the sense that it's very clear that if Donald Trump just focused on saying people go and get vaccinated, listen, it's my vaccine after all, give me the glory by going and taking the Trump vaccine, it would have an impact. At the same time, the data doesn't suggest that it's what elected officials say that is having the greatest impact on whether they are or aren't going to get vaccinated. They say it's local doctors and clergy. We know, unfortunately, that while they may not be admitting it, disinformation that they're seeing on social media seems to also be playing a significant role. So I can see both sides of that. But if the point is Trump wants Biden to come begging him to help, that's just more about Trump's narcissism than anything else.